Hello and welcome back to another build video for Diablo 4, and today we're running the Desperado build. This is a barrage build utilizing the dark imbuement skills, and all together we have a lot of damage, we have a ton of AoE, we have a lot of life steal, and we have a bunch of speed. This is a lot of fun, honestly. I really didn't expect it to be as good as it was, but real quick, before we get into the actual build, I did want to mention that we have the two of the uniques that aren't necessary, but if you have them, you want to run them. The Grasp of Shadows and Condemnation. Grasp of Shadows makes it to where you have a good chance when using one of your marksman or cutthroat abilities that a shadow clone will show up and mimic your ability. Condemnation makes it to where our core skills deal a lot more damage whenever we have 3 combo points. And if we use a basic skill using a dagger, we have a 30% chance to get all 3 combo points in one hit. So with all that being said, I guess let's get into the video.
Once upon a time, I ran amok up and down these streets. I robbed the local bank to pay for my saloon tab. But then all hell broke loose. And now I'm about the only damn hope this town's got. Half the folk around here call me Pistol Pete, but there's only one problem with that. I don't know what the hell a pistol is. The other half, though, they know me as the Desperado.
Now, to start ourselves off, we have Puncture. The reason we go Puncture is because we have Condemnation. If you don't have Condemnation, feel free, you can switch it out for Heartseeker or Forceful Arrow. Honestly, I like Heartseeker a little better, but we're running Puncture. We take Enhanced Puncture for the energy gain and Fundamental Puncture for the vulnerability to enemies. And that vulnerable is going to be a huge deal. So even if you don't have Condemnation, Puncture is not a bad option. Right here we have Barrage, obviously. This is a Barrage build. With our combo points all the way up, we shoot 8 arrows that deal 100% more damage each. Right here on Enhanced Barrage, we have a 100% chance for a ricochet whenever we hit a vulnerable enemy or critically strike an enemy. So we want to have both of those. Vulnerable, or we want to be critting all the time. I did go Advanced Barrage just for whenever I don't have a vulnerable enemy for whatever reason. This gives us a 20% increased critical strike chance after Barrage ricochets 4 times. Now, for our passives, we did take Sturdy for the 12% close damage reduction, and Siphoning Strikes for the heal on critically striking a close enemy. Even though this is a barrage build and we're ranged, if you're playing solo, you're going to have enemies in your shit, so might as well get some healing off of that. We do take Stutter Step, and that's kind of a fun deal. Whenever you critically strike, you start haul-assing around, and it's a blast. Down here we take Weapon Mastery. You can take either bow or crossbow. I think bow may be a little better, but I wanted to have a good mix between vulnerable and crit damage, so we went crossbow, since we have so many ways to make enemies vulnerable. We have a lot of vulnerability damage. Down here we do take dash this time around. Dash is really good for applying Dark Imbuement to a bunch of enemies. Granted, Barrage is as well, so I mean, it's kind of give and take. This is a really good movement ability, and I figured because we're long range, it wouldn't be that big a deal if I launched myself away from the pack of enemies, which is why I don't like using this with daggers. But anywho, we take Enhanced Dash. They take 15% increased crit damage from you for 5 seconds, and then Dash slows enemies hit by 30%. Enemies already slowed will be dazed for 2 seconds instead. That's just a nice little bit of CC. I guess it's not mandatory, but I kind of like having that CC. Right here, we do take Dark Shroud this time. I am actually becoming quite a fan of this one. Surround yourself with up to 5 protective shadows. Gain 8% damage reduction per active shadow. Each time you take direct damage, the damage is reduced and shadow is consumed. So if you don't have one of those unique items, you could put the aspect on either your glove or dagger that makes it to where whenever one of these is consumed, it'll explode and do dark damage. We do come over here for the shadows have a 10% chance to not be consumed, and while you have at least 4 shadows, gain 8% crit strike chance. Down here we take Exploit. You deal 18% increased damage to healthy and injured enemies. This is huge for boss fights. It'll help you shred them. Malice, because we have a ton of vulnerability, this gives us more vulnerable damage. Right here, we take Shadow Imbuement. You basically apply this to an enemy. Whenever they die, they explode and kind of infect everything around them with dark. This makes it to where we have more crit strike chance against injured enemies infected by Shadow Imbuement. It helps us just kill them a little bit quicker to ensure that they will explode. And then Blended Shadow Imbuement, whenever things take damage from the explosion, it makes them vulnerable for 2 seconds. Shadow Crash has a 10% chance to stun an enemy, and then Consuming Shadows, this is probably the most important one. Each time you kill an enemy with a shadow damage, you generate 30 energy. This will allow us basically to apply, we'll hit an enemy with our basic attack to make them vulnerable, and then we'll barrage them, and it'll ricochet everywhere and apply this dark to everything in the area. And then we can just sit there and use barrage over and over and over again because everything's exploding, everything's vulnerable, so we're ricocheting like crazy, applying more dark, and we're gaining almost infinite energy from it. So that helps a ton with that. This makes it to where, Precision Imbuement makes it to where we have more crit chance while we are imbued. Innervation for the 30% chance to gain 8 energy. That's mostly for boss fights. Because you won't be exploding anything really unless they summon a bunch of little minions, so this helps us keep up our energy. Trap Mastery. When Poison Trap or Death Trap activate, you gain 12% increased critical strike chance against vulnerable and crowd-controlled enemies for 4 seconds. Now with this build, if you didn't want to run Dark Shroud, you could run Poison Trap. This would be a good option for this build. I think Dark Shroud is important for this particular build because you feel squishier than any of the other builds I've made. I think Flurry has the best survivability out of all abilities, for the rogue at least. So Death Trap, place a trap that arms after 1.25 seconds. It activates when an enemy moves within range, dealing a total of 13,000 damage to each enemy in the area. Prime Death Trap, it sucks enemies in when it activates, and then Supreme Death Trap, if Death Trap kills an enemy, its cooldown is reduced by 10 seconds. Now we move over here, and once again we're using Victimize. I've tried Precision with this build, and it just, I swear, Victimize paired with that aspect to make it to where you heal every time something gets hurt by the explosion, this is the best key passive in my opinion. And honestly, I can't hardly justify using any of the other key passives because of how good this one is. Now, of course, we are using combo points, and to look at what combo points does for us here, it increases the amount of arrows and we get way more damage, so we definitely want combo points. There is a good argument for preparation. Every 100 energy you spend reduces your ultimate's cooldown by 4 seconds. Using your ultimate skill resets the cooldown of your other skills. There is a great argument for that. If you wanted to lean way more into the death trap, then I would definitely take this one instead of combo points. Now, as for our other aspects, we are taking barrage arrows, have a 30% chance to split into 2 arrows whenever they ricochet. This basically doubles the amount of ricochet that we have. It's really, really great. Over here, I've become quite a fan of this. Your marksman skills have up to a 10% chance to create an arrow storm at the enemy's location, dealing 2,392 physical damage over 3 seconds. You can have up to 5 active arrow storms. So if you go into a boss fight and you're super lucky, your auto attacks will proc this, and your core skill will proc this, and you'll just absolutely shit on the boss. This is quite a fun aspect to play with, and honestly, it's a massive DPS boost. And I've noticed that this will also proc off of your ricochet. So you'll be blasting a whole room full of enemies, and then this aspect will just be raining down all over the place. It's really, really fun. Right here, basic skills gain 15% attack speed. That's to help out with our combo points. Your shadow clone also mimics your imbuement applied to your skills. I'm not sure if this procs with Grasp of Shadows or not. So this is optional for sure. I just wanted to mention it because if it does, then it's a massive DPS boost. But I can't figure out if it does or not. I kill shit too fast. Or I can't pay enough attention to him whenever he shows up to see if he's also applying Dark. Right here, we are running the Explosions from Victim IQ passive, Heal You. This is such a great aspect, and if you can get your hands on it, I absolutely recommend using that. Over here we have gain a free Dark Shroud every 3 seconds whenever standing still. This makes it, a lot of the time, whenever we apply Dark, we're sitting still just spamming Barrage. So this just gives us some more damage reduction while we're doing that. And then up here we have Becoming Injured while crowd controlled grants you Unstoppable for 4 seconds. In this build, we don't really have any way to become unstoppable, so yeah, that's pretty damn important. And as you can see, it's aside from that, that's pretty much it. Aside from that, like, we don't have like 10 aspects here. So let's now jump into our Paragon board and take a look at what we've taken so far. I'm level 56 and I have the, what is it, 20 Paragon points you get from doing all of the regional aspects. So this, you may not be this far, but this is kind of what you want to shoot for if you're running this at level 50. Prime, and you want to have all the intelligence so you can get that 20% damage bonus. I'm running Ranger right now, but if you can get Exploit, I would recommend running that one. That will just help out making things vulnerable. And then right here we have Skillful for the more damage. You could run one of these, the Lawless. I do like Lawless. The 200 armor would help a lot with your survivability, so that is an option if you wanted to go that way. Otherwise, the board that we take is Eldritch Bounty. So you want to work your way over here to get the Imbuer perk, making it to where you get more imbued skill damage and non-physical damage. This will make it to where every time an enemy explodes from dark, that explosion hits harder. And of course you want to take all these little boons that give you imbued skill damage and non-physical damage. We are going to pick up Eldritch Bounty. You get, when you attack with an imbued skill, you gain 20% resistance and 20% damage, or increased damage for that imbuement element for 6 seconds. This will make your explosions even stronger. It's incredible. Now, as you can see, I am working my way up here to ready supply just for more non-physical damage and all the boons that come with that. So that's where we're at right there. And that is pretty much the whole build. If you were curious about the fashion, I really wanted to do like a Clint Eastwood, the good, the bad, the ugly kind of vibe for the Desperado. The only issue is we don't get a badass cowboy hat with this, and we don't even get a cool sombrero either. So I had to go with the edge helm that kind of looks like a bandana, something you'd see out in the fucking Wild West. And we do have the brown imbuement on all of these. We have the weathered tunic, the heavy gloves, sovereign tassets, and sturdy boots. And so all in all, I feel that we do pull that look of having that Clint Eastwood look, and I'm pretty happy with it. So let me know what build you want to do next, and I have a couple of options. I'm going to try to put up another build video either later today or tomorrow, because the next few days I won't be doing this. So we have the Predator Poison Flurry build. I have a what is that ability called? I have a build for, if I can get to it here, Penetrating Shot in the works, and I have a Bloody Baron updated build at level 70. We also have just reached level 50 with both Mage and Druid, although those two may be a little bit, I'm not a Mage player, so I'm just struggling bussing with that character. And Druid is ass until you get some uniques, and I cannot get uniques to trap for him, so mostly it'll be Rogue or Necro. Let me know what you want to see. If you enjoyed the video, then like and subscribe. If you didn't, then don't. Either way it goes, though, have yourself a very fine day.